With the departure of an AEW star teased and more, this is Wrestling Hub. My name is John and you're watching the Wrestling Report for October 2nd. Before we get into the rest of the video, make sure you subscribe to Wrestling Hub and turn on all notifications to stay up to date with everything in the world of pro wrestling. Also, don't forget to follow us on Instagram at Wrestling Hub Official and follow us on Twitter at Wrestling_Hub. On the AEW Unrestricted podcast, Chris Jericho spoke about the possibility of AEW starting without him, saying, "The company wasn't built around me, but at the risk of sounding egotistical, if there was no Chris Jericho, I don't know if the company would have gotten off the ground as quickly as it did." I say that because I think at the time, I was the only national kind of superstar name that was involved. Keep in mind, no one really knew Cody at that point, and as much buzz as Kenny Omega and Matt and Nick Jackson had, they were still mostly just kind of regional guys. They were worldwide stars, but when it comes to national TV in the States, they didn't have any experience for that. With Sami Zayn trying to smooth things over in the bloodline, he had this to say to Jey Uso, who has taken issue with him being a part of the family stable. "Some people have endured a lot and as a result have a hard time trusting others. They find it hard to believe others could be doing things for the right reasons, often believing there must be ulterior motives. Though it can be frustrating, it's important to be understanding." Recalling a poor experience with one of the Raw guest hosts, Road Dogg said on his podcast, "I'll give you an example of a real crappy interaction with a celebrity, Jonah Hill. He came to promote something at Madison Square Garden and they ended up getting hot at him and just said, 'We're not doing it. Screw it.' I think it was Monday Night Raw and Jonah Hill was supposed to be there to promote something. I don't know if there was a creative difference. I just know a lot of people talked bad about him after it didn't happen. So yeah, that's an example of one that didn't work well, and I also don't even remember the vehicle he was trying to promote, so maybe it wasn't so great." Speaking on his Reffin' It Up show, former WWE official Brian Hebner called out an AEW referee for killing matches as he said, "I have to call the elephant in the room. I've met this guy several times. He's a very nice guy. It has nothing to do with him as an individual or a human being. Bryce Remsburg, and once again, a very, very nice guy. It's time for someone to let this guy know he is killing matches and taking away the power and taking away the show and taking away the story because it's not about him. He's overdramatic with too many things. Sometimes I see some things that make me just sit here and really laugh because it actually is funny, because that's how outlandish it's become and nobody's even seeing it. It seems like that works for that company. I think the guy's a good referee, but he's not when he does all these things. So if somebody gets slapped, he's grabbing his face. If somebody gets kicked in the back, he's holding his back. He's jumping up and down. He's just over the top. I understand being involved in caring about what's going on in the ring and showing natural, and when I say natural, I'll explain that if you'd like, but natural expressions. I've never once watched an MMA match and watched the guy and the referee sell everybody that gets knocked out. They don't do anything. They do their job and that's what we need to do. It's okay if it's a spot where you're supposed to show emotion or you're supposed to show something, but not every time someone does something. Like I say, the guy's a good referee if you take that out. Yeah, I love his count. I love his cadence. I like how he tries to stick to the rules, but this has to stop. He's taking away from talent and I think that's unfair. When asked about Vince McMahon's retirement as chairman and CEO of WWE, Seth Rollins told Ariel Helwani of BT Sport, I couldn't believe it. It was one of those things that you will never forget. I was in the airport. We were heading out to a live event. We were flying out on a Friday. The thing went out at like 3 o'clock Central, and so I got the text. I was coming through the security line and I got the text, check your app for a note from the chairman. I click it and sure enough, he just was retired. I was like shocked. And Becky was with Rue looking at a statue of a deer in the airport in Iowa. She was looking at the deer statue and I was like, she just saw my face from a distance and she's like, what's wrong? I'm like, did you get the text? And she's like, no, what? what? I had her look at it and she was like, oh my god. I think both of us were just like, what? I always thought, Vince is older, so I thought at some point in my tenure in WWE, as I intend to be here for quite a long time, he would retire, be forced out, die on the job, who knows. But when it happened, it was so abrupt, I was not prepared. Emotionally, it got me emotional, because I love Vince. He's been like a father figure to me over the past 10 years. He's someone that his approval means a lot to me. So I kind of was just like, wow, is this the last time I'm ever going to see Vince? Am I ever going to see him again? When you have such a close relationship with someone, ups and downs, it just felt like I was losing a friend and losing a mentor, and I don't know whether to be excited or not. Kind of felt inappropriate to be excited about something like that. During that same interview, Rollins would talk about potentially working with Bray Wyatt again in WWE, saying, I would love to have another crack at working with Wyndham Rotunda. He's an incredible talent. Just a mind for the industry and for stories and for characters that is very unique. There's not a lot of people in our business, past, present, or future, that think about things on the level that he does. Rollins also had this to say about his Hell in a Cell match against Cody Rhodes. It really went a long way in repairing my reputation. I'd gotten so much flack online for some injuries that had happened in matches that I was in, or whether they were caused by me directly or indirectly is a whole different can of worms. I think people were like, oh, maybe he does know how to take care of people in the ring. Yeah, duh. But yeah, I think it was more visually jarring than anything. After FTR faced and defeated Aussie Open at Crystal Palace in London recently, Dax Harwood got on the mic and had a message for the AEW president. Here's the video.
This is the first time we have been overseas since 2019, and we thank you. Two things. First things first. Tony Khan, we still work for you. Book us, brother. Second thing, and most importantly and seriously, I've said it on Twitter, these guys are the future of tag team wrestling. All egotism to the side, all self-preservation to the side. They may be the best tag team today. I might step out of the way for that. Thank you, guys.
Talking about how Sasha Banks and Naomi walked out on WWE over the summer, Booker T said on his Hall of Fame podcast, I definitely was one that was hoping to see Sasha as well as Naomi come back. I thought both of those guys were leaving the way they did. I was wondering if they were going to come back. I remember you asking, how would I have done it? And I said, I would have done the job. And then I would have left. Because that's one thing with the business, and it's not just myself. I've heard other wrestlers, the veteran wrestlers that have been around that have said the exact same thing. They said they would have done the job and then left because it's like tradition. I think losing that tradition factor in the business, man, that right there is where the rubber met the road as far as the situation went and as far as whether we were going to work it out or not, because it was a little bit different than the tradition of the way wrestling has always been dealt. It appears the former double champion of the UFC's heavyweight and light heavyweight divisions is set to make his WWE debut as Ariel Helwani took to Twitter to announce, breaking, Daniel Cormier will serve as guest referee for next Saturday's Fight Pit match between Matt Riddle and Seth Rollins at Extreme Rules in Philly, October 8th. No, seriously, it's really happening. October 8th. Incredible. No, really. This is legit. The Rollins-Riddle feud has gotten very intense and personal. There's only one person qualified enough to oversee this brutal match at Extreme Rules, and it's me. I'll see you guys in Philly next Saturday. DC, special freaking guest referee. With Juice Robinson recently making an appearance for AEW facing off against Jon Moxley, it seems the company is hoping to sign the star following his departure from New Japan. PWInsider.com is also told that after his match against Moxley this past Wednesday in Philadelphia as well, there is massive interest in bringing in Juice Robinson as often as possible and making him a regular for the company. As As many fans wonder if Andrade will stay with AEW or end up leaving the promotion, his manager posted an interesting tweet seemingly hinting at the star's departure. It reads, "You were one of the best in-ring competitors. I learned a great amount working alongside you. You brought me to AEW and I stand by your side in whatever choice you make next. Thank you for everything, Manuel Andrade." Despite leaving AEW with her husband Cody Rhodes, it seems Brandi Rhodes has been contacted by the parent company Warner Bros. Discovery, as Fightful said. Brandi had participated in some matches at the WWE Performance Center, but we haven't heard of a deal being reached in that regard. We'd also heard she was hopeful she could integrate Culture City with WWE, as she's a board member of the former. We've not heard of any subsequent contact between All Elite Wrestling and Brandi, but after the story we ran about WBD's efforts to retain Cody Rhodes, a source familiar with the situation did claim that Warner Bros. Discovery had made contact with Brandi in September of 2022. Talking about who would end up inducting him into the WWE Hall of Fame, Drew McIntyre told Hollywood Raw, not Shatner like Jerry Lawler did. It's going to end up being Sheamus, isn't it? He's been there since before we both got signed. The good times, bad times. I'm the best man at his wedding coming up. He was the best man at my wedding. We give each other hell all the time, as everybody sees. We fight more than me and my actual brother, and people get to see it on TV as well as backstage. That they don't get to see. It's gotta be Sheamus. I'd be nervous. God, do I want him to do it with all the things he knows? And this was your Pro Wrestling News Update. I hope you're all having a great day. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you later.